Hey, this is Jason Kleberg from the Force 5 podcast, a show that forces a guest to come up with a movie-themed top 5 list topic, and then we reveal our picks on air. Top 5 heist films, top 5 tearjerkers, top 5 movie dogs. Every show you'll be asking yourself, what would be on my list? Guests include directors, screenwriters, actors, podcasters, musicians, authors, and even a professional wrestler. Subscribe to the Force 5 podcast, and you won't just be a listener, you'll be a list nerd. The Force 5 podcast, available wherever you're listening now.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the 3 hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, you know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week, and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
And welcome to the Kulturecast. I'm Chris Stachiw, and I am joined by my good friend, a world-renowned podcaster. It says it in the signature line of his email anytime he sends it to me, the host of the projection booth, Mr. Mike White.
Does it really say world-renowned?
I don't know. You have like a bunch of really good blurbs from important people.
I try.
Mike program this month, we're talking Jackie Chan movies, and we're going to continue looking at Jackie Chan movies with a look at 1985's Police Story.
In a city born of corruption, an elite unit embarked on a mission to destroy the greatest criminal conspiracy of their time. In the events that followed, only one man would make a difference. Experience Jackie Chan, the star of Rush Hour 2 and Shanghai Nights, in the movie critics are calling pure entertainment, crammed with incredible stunts. Police Story.
The film was directed by Jackie Chan and Chi Hua Chen in the scenes that I'm assuming Jackie Chan was in front of the camera. It's not entirely clear. It's written by Jackie Chan and Edward Tang. It stars, what a surprise, Jackie Chan, Maggie Cheung, and Bridget Lin. And the film follows Jackie Chan as a Hong Kong cop who is framed for murder by a drug lord, kingpin. It's what he does illegally is not really made very clear.
Yeah, it's some shady business. I'm not really sure.
Right. It's not like Dragons Forever where it's like this guy is clearly making drugs. It's just they're gonna get him. He seems to be a bad guy. The opening scene for this movie puts to shame pretty much any opening scene of any movie you've ever seen in the history of movies. It is so batshit insane. So I'm curious, Mike, why did you pick Police Story this month? And also, what did you think watching it again?
Well, I picked this one just because of some of those set pieces. And, again, I was a bigger fan of Jackie in the 80s than I was of his work in the 70s and probably in the 90s and into the 2000s. Some of these 80s films are just amazing. He was in prime form. He was directing a lot of these things. I don't know why you think that he couldn't direct everything himself. It's not like they've got some other guy directing Clint Eastwood when he's in front of the camera. So I'm calling shenanigans on that. But anyway, and yeah, these set pieces are just freaking fantastic. And just even like the small things where Jackie, will take 2 little jumps and be over a fence in no problem. Like those little physical things that he does are amazing. And then you get a set piece that opens up this film that just keeps going. You would think that it would end after one point, and then it keeps going even more. And then you think it's going to end there, and then it keeps going even more. It just takes your breath away. And when you see this thing unfold, and then you go back and watch it, 10, 20, 30 years later, it still packs such a punch.
The reason I said the thing about Jackie Chan directing is while Clint Eastwood is maybe in the movies he directs, he's not jumping around and doing all sorts of crazy shit. So I feel like Jackie should probably be focusing more on not killing himself. Because in this movie, along with the next one we're going to be talking about, Armor of God, this movie at the end of the film, he massively hurt himself.
Oh, yeah.
The stunt where he slides down the pole in the middle of the mall with the Christmas lights around it, and I believe he broke his pelvis and injured his back, is a breathtaking stunt. It's when they do the stunts in these Jackie Chan movies that are like kind of the stunt of the movie, that's the way it kind of seems now, right? There's like a stunt of the movie. They show it from like various angles over and over again. So you got like the full experience of watching this crazy stunt. And that stunt at the end of the film is that. But as much as I like that stunt at the end of the movie, the beginning scene, the first like 20 minutes of this movie is the best James Bond intro scene that James Bond never did. Like, that's really what it is.
So for the folks listening at home, we should probably describe this part as far as there's a bunch of cops, there's a bunch of bad guys, and the cops are trying to figure out who the bad guys are, track them down and all this in this shanty town. So it's a town that's built on the side of a hill. It kind of reminds me, if you're familiar with the Edward Norton Incredible Hulk movie. And,
yeah, the favelas.
Right, exactly. So you have something like that, and then the bad guys eventually figure out, hey, these cops are here to get us. Let's escape. And the easiest way for them to escape, and I put easiest in quotation marks, is for them to drive through the village, drive through the shanty town.
Top down.
From the top of a mountain down to the bottom of it. And watching people on roofs and in the walkways and stuff jumping out of the way as the cars are going underneath and going through the buildings, and there's multiple cars that are going down all at the same time. Jackie eventually jumps in a car. Yeah. There's explosions. There's all of this stuff. And these are not CGI people. These are real people that are in the way of these cars, and they're jumping left and right. My God, does this just take your breath away?
And it was so successful that it was copied in Bad Boys 2. But, don't tell Michael Bay and Jerry Bruckheimer that, because they came up with it on their own. It was an original idea.
So you get down to the bottom of the shanty town, and you think, okay, well, that's over. The bad guys escaped because Jackie's car is wrecked. No, not so fast. He's going to run after them on foot. They jump onto a public bus, to hold a knife to the driver's throat and say, you better drive us away. So he runs after the bus, grabs this lady's umbrella, flings it over the top of the back of the bus, and manages to lift himself onto the bus. And he's hanging out as these guys are attacking him. And eventually he falls off of the bus, runs down a freaking mountain again, stops this car, holds his arms out. The bus has now made its way around the mountain, coming towards him. He loads these bullets into his gun. Rather than shoot the driver, who's an innocent bystander, he just shoots the gun up in the air. The driver slams on the brakes, all the bad guys fall out of the bus through the glass windows, landing, and this was a mistake. They were not supposed to land on the ground by Jackie's feet. They're actually supposed to land on the car behind him because it would have broken their fall better. So when they're writhing around in pain by Jackie, they're actually in pain. And there you go again, such a spectacular thing that this was repeated in Tango and Cash.
And the thing about this movie is that is the first 20 minutes.
Right.
But and that's the other problem is that's the first 20 minutes. The rest of this movie is okay. It suffers kind of similarly from Dragons Forever, where it starts getting bogged down in a unnecessarily complicated plot. And it's not clear who the villain is or what's going on or why the villain is doing what he's doing other than he's just some nefarious businessman again. But in Dragons Forever, it was a little bit more clear as to what the villain was doing. In this movie, he just seems to be maybe embedded.
You won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times. Or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months. Or the Rogue heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24 related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Embezzling money, something, and the most of the film is Jackie protecting his secretary, who then double crosses him, but then it turns out she didn't. It's so unnecessarily complicated with all the twists. And
I thought that Bridget Lynn was involved with the bad guy. Selena was her name, and they say Selena just a bunch of times. I thought she was involved with the bad guy, and then he's trying to protect her to get her to testify. It's kind of like Dragons Forever again. Get her to testify against him, and then he has to kidnap her, eventually threatens to kill her. And then there's also this whole thing of, hey, Jackie, you're bringing this woman around. I'm jealous because I'm your girlfriend, May, played by Maggie Cheung.
Well, and also there's a subplot of Jackie trying to convince Selena that she is in danger by having his own cops threaten her.
Right.
It's unnecessarily complicated, and it, for me, kind of detracts from my overall enjoyment of the movie because I don't want it dumbed down by any means, but it is a foreign film and it's a little hard to follow at times. And that's just maybe me being a dum-dum. I mean, that's perfectly possible. But at the same time, it's unnecessarily complicated, especially like he's protecting her, but he's not. She's in on it, but she's not. It's like, can we just have like a straightforward plot that ends up, like we said, almost being just Dragons Forever again? Like almost to a fault. And that was what we had a problem with Dragons Forever on the last Kulturecast, was that it was like unnecessarily complicated in kind of the B plot, or I guess that's technically the A plot. Mm-hmm. But then at the end, then it's like right when the movie is kind of hitting its stride, then all of a sudden there's another thing where it's like there's dirty cops and Jackie is being framed for murder. It's like there's like 8 million different things going on at once. It's like, can we focus this just a little bit better?
It could be benefit of me seeing this multiple times because I'm kind of familiar with like where the beats are when it comes to this stuff. So I can totally see what you're saying though. Like rewatching Police Story 2 over the weekend, I was like, I'm not that familiar with this one. I could only remember really one part of it. So I just kept waiting for that part to start. And I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm a little bored with some of this other stuff. So if this is one of your first times watching Police Story 1, I can exactly see where you're coming from on this.
Yeah, no, it actually, full disclosure, it is the first time. And this movie does slow down, but it is, like we're kind of talking about here, this movie's synopsis on IMDb is the later half of the movie.
Right.
There's like a first whole half of this movie with Jackie protecting the secretary who's maybe in on it, but not. It's not clear. And then once the guy that he arrests at the beginning of the movie after the double-decker bus chase is acquitted or mistrial, gets out, then he gets framed for murder. And that's like the last 20, 30 minutes of the movie. And so it's a little weird because it's like disparate parts being brought together. And I liked this movie a lot more than I liked Dragons Forever. But at the same time, there are things I didn't like about this movie as much as Dragons Forever, like no Sammo Hung, no Yuen Bao. And like the chemistry of them together was better than this movie's chemistry because Jackie was pretty much by himself the entire movie. It's like a lone man story. It's like him versus the world, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, I like Maggie Cheung a lot, and she gets abused quite a bit in this film. I love the whole thing with her and her scooter, and when he pulls her off the back of her scooter, those kind of things. But yeah, she's not in this movie enough to really, fall in love with her like you do in other films, because she's just so cute and so fun to watch.
Well, and she takes a beating at the end of the movie.
Oh, hell yes.
And again, all the women at the end of the movie take a beating. A real beating, like getting their asses kicked by Hong Kong gangsters. So if that's something that you're a little not into, watching women being beaten up by men, this movie's probably not for you.
I really like the interactions that he has with Bill Tung, who's an inspector in this, and then Tung is the older one. There's the younger one who is actually the one who's in charge, but Bill's kind of going around him a little bit and protecting Jackie from the bureaucracy. I like those scenes as well. It's a weird mix for us because it is very much a romantic comedy. I mean, you get those scenes of him in court where he's playing the tape, and it's stuff that had happened earlier in the film, and then when you take it out of context without the visuals and you just hear the audio, it sounds like they're trying to have sex, but actually it was this whole thing with a cactus, yada yada. So it is very, it's a comedy shoved in between two really exciting action set pieces, and there's not a real big third action set piece in the middle to break it up. There are occasional fights, but there's not that major thing right in the middle of the film.
Well, and that's the issue I do have with the movie, aside from like kind of the plot problems, is that it is just two really big set pieces with almost nothing in between. You've got some kind of like comedy beats with Jackie when he's like answering the phones, which feels like it's out of another movie completely. And there's some like other comedy beats, but like it's unfortunate that the beginning and the end of this movie have such strong set pieces. And then in between is kind of this romantic comedy thing that doesn't really stick the landing.
I won't argue with you on that at all.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate because, again, I mean, I would say that this is one of the more well-known Jackie Chan films from the 80s. I mean, they made how many sequels to this? 3, 4 sequels, a spin-off, and then an unofficial sequel? Like, Jesus Christ. Like, this clearly a very successful, movie franchise for Jackie Chan. It's one that obviously built him up a lot in the kind of the Hong Kong action movie scene, but it's like missing something in the center of the film to keep you engaged.
So just for the record, there are, as far as I know, 5 sequels. So there's Police Story 2 and then Police Story 3, which is also known as Super Cop. Then there's Police Story 4, which is known as First Strike. Then there's New Police Story. Then there's Police Story 2013. Oh, I'm sorry. I also forgot there's Police Story Lockdown, which I don't think is the same thing as Police Story 2013. I don't know if Crime Story was a spin-off of this or not, because that's one of the few Jackies I haven't seen. And then there was Once a Cop, which was kind of the sequel to Police Story 3, Super Cop, because it's also known as Super Cop 2.
But again, I don't know if there are any other Jackie Chan movies that have had this many sequels.
I don't think so. I really don't, because I know Project A just had the 1 sequel. I think Armor of God had the 2 sequels. Cannibal Run had one sequel. Yeah, I can't think of. I mean, there were things like his Lucky Stars films and stuff that had some things going on, like Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars and My Lucky Stars and those kind of things. But I mean, even when it comes to like Drunken Master, there's just like the two, if memory serves. Somebody out there is like tearing their hair out and yelling at the radio, and because people listen to podcasts on the radio.
If memory serves. You troll. If memory serves. Oh, man. You're going to try to figure out a way to get that into every podcast now, huh?
Oh, I always say that.
If memory serves. If you don't know what that's from the original Iron Chef, not the Iron Chef America that is continuing to stink up the airwaves on the Food Network, in quotations. Yes, quite. Food Network, little tangent, Food Network is so bad now. It really is kind of the worst. There's nothing redeeming. Yeah, there's like nothing redeeming on it anymore because it's not cooking shows anymore. That's been relegated to the cooking channel.
Yeah, that's where it's at now.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, where it's at now is just watching episodes of The Great British Bake Off on BBC's when they put it on, either if you have BBC on cable or on PBS. So,
bitch, I'm all about the Great Australian Bake Off over on Daily Motion.
Oh, dear God. I like Paul Hollywood so much that...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and the new people on Great British Bake Off, like the new host, Noel Fielding, is fantastic, but you have to be a fan of his comedy stylings to really be... I don't know, he's kind of... I know a lot of folks aren't exactly huge fans of his, but I digress. I know
he's an acquired taste.
He really is. Police Story, though, is considered to be one of Jackie Chan's best films, though, from everything I've read.
Yeah.
And outside of kind of some of the problems...
You won't see the engineer that slams the Nissan Rogue's door 13,920 times. Or the corrosive chamber that simulates 15 years of life in 5 months. Or the Rogue heat-baked for over 300 combined hours. What you will see is a vehicle that can take punch after punch and keep rolling. Nissan. #1 in new vehicle quality among mainstream brands by J.D. Power. We put it through the worst, so you get its best. For J.D. Power 2025 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Awards based on 2025 model year. Newer models may be shown.
Hello, filthy movie lovers. My name is Gentry Austin.
No, I'm Casey Scott.
And we're the hosts of The Sin Syndicate, film podcast for something weirdos, anti-criterion bros, and Joseph Sarno aficionados. Join us semi-weekly as we peer into the adults-only theaters and sticky-floored cinemas of the golden age of sexploitation, when the morals were loose, the laws were murky, and the intercourse was all simulated. Find us now on the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
He does play a very sympathetic, charismatic character, which obviously adds to that. And I do think this is a fun, good movie worth checking out. It kind of has the same problems that, I don't know if this is going to be a constant, but Project A kind of had it. This movie kind of had it. Dragons Forever kind of had it, where it gets bogged down in these unnecessarily complicated plots.
It's very funny because there's an article that Craig Lyons wrote over on Den of Geek, and he ranked the Police Story films, because that's what you do when you write internet articles, is you rank things. And he's got, so his from least to most is Project S, aka One's a Cop, aka Super Cop, aka Super Cop 2. Then Police Story Lockdown, which I watched a lot of that on YouTube over the weekend. And I was enjoying it, though it was telegraphing a lot of stuff really early on that it probably shouldn't have telegraphed. And also, eventually the subtitles that YouTube provided fell out of sync, so I just couldn't watch it anymore, because it was like I'm reading dialogue 30 seconds a minute before they say it, and it was really difficult. Then he's got Police Story 4, aka First Strike, and then Police Story, the one that we're talking about right now, is dead center in the middle, which I found very funny. And then he's got Police Story 2, Police Story 3, Super Cop, and then New Police Story, which I don't know if I've ever seen New Police Story. And that was the one from 2004.
And all of them aren't about the same detective, or are they?
I think they change his name in New Police Story. He seems to be the same guy in the first 3 at least, but I'm not sure about the rest of them. I know in Lockdown, it was really kind of weird. He came in and his name was Zhong in that, and then they asked him his last name, and he said, just call me Zhong Wen, which just means Chinese in Chinese. And that one, it seemed to be that they were speaking Mandarin. It seemed to be a mainland release rather than a Hong Kong release.
That's the other thing about these movies that, again, that's what cracks me up, is the version that I watched was dubbed. And I don't think it was Jackie doing his own dubbing. I know for Armor of God it was. I don't think for Police Story it was. And I think for Dragons Forever it wasn't. But for Project A it was. And boy, it really benefits when he's the one who's doing the dubbing, because it's really distracting. Because Jackie Chan has a very distinct voice.
Right.
And when it's someone else, it doesn't sound right, like, at all. But they always use the same name. They always call him Jackie, even if his name's not Jackie in the movie. They just call him Jackie.
Yeah, well, it's this weird thing where he is identified with these characters so much. I mean, and that's the thing that we were talking about last week with Dragons Forever, where if he plays against type, it really causes this like cognitive dissonance. There was a movie, and I think it might have been Crime Story, or was it? There's another one that he made in Japan, or it had a big Japanese influence, and he wasn't playing Jackie. He wasn't playing a likable character, and it just tanked. People just couldn't stand seeing him play something other than Jackie, basically.
Well, and that's the thing that we don't really we don't have that in American action cinema. Like, we have Sylvester Stallone playing these characters, but he plays against type. You have Arnold, who, original Terminator, he was the goddamn villain. And then in the second film, obviously, the T-800 becomes the hero. And he's never called Arnold, except for in Last Action Hero, a movie that I know you cannot stand. But it's not like he's called Arnold, or Sylvester Stallone's not called Sly or Sylvester in any of his movies. And so it's just kind of weird. Like, as an American watching these movies, there's no analog for us. I mean, we have action stars, but we don't have ones that are called their names in the movies and aren't given character names. It's just, I guess to be fair, the character names don't really fucking matter when the plots aren't the important part as much as the big set pieces and the crazy kung fu and karate and martial arts action.
Right. Yeah, whenever I hear of an action star who has the same name as their character, I always think of Jeff Speakman, because Jeff Speakman was in a movie, and a lot of people might not remember Jeff Speakman. He was touted to be the next thing at one point, and he was showing up in all these different things where it's him with a gun on the cover, and he was in one that they had tons of previews for called The Perfect Weapon, and his name in that was Jeff. So it was Jeff Speakman is Jeff Speakman in They Call Me Jeff. It was just and so many of his character names were John, Joe, Jake, Jared. So he was always the J name. So, and I always think when you call an actor by their actual name that they maybe aren't that great of an actor, because maybe you call them by their character name and they don't react, and then you finally have to say their real name and they'll be like, oh yeah, what?
That's kind of the way I believe Steven Seagal is.
It could be. And we have to remember, too, that we're losing a lot of stuff in translation. So he might not be called Jackie in these other movies, but when they're dubbing them or writing the subtitles, it's just a lot easier to write Jackie.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is I honestly, as much, kind of as much fun as we're having kind of at the movie's expense, it clearly says on Wikipedia, Jackie on US, UK, and Australian releases.
Right.
So it's fucking names don't even matter. Fucking who cares? Do you really care about the character's name? It's just Jackie Chan in Police Story.
Exactly.
Yeah. Jackie Chan is Jackie Chan in Police Story.
Yeah, I think he goes by Chan Kang Ka Kwai in a couple of them. Who cares? Yeah, I'm not going to remember his name other than when they call him the Asian Hawk in the Armor of God films. It's the only time I really know.
Or then in the second Armor of God, the Asian Condor.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't even remember Jackie Chan's character's name from Rush Hour. Like,
Right.
I would say the film that he's most known for in the United States, except for maybe Shanghai Noon. Now, I remember his character's name from Shanghai Noon because I think his character's name from Shanghai Noon is one of the cleverest things the movie did, with his character's name being Chon Wang. I mean, you know, it's pretty offensive, but at the same time, it's kind of funny.
Yeah. His character's name was Lee in Rush Hour.
Okay, so his name was pretty much just Jackie.
Yeah. He didn't even really get a first name as far as I know.
Well, I think it was in the third movie is when they gave a shit because all of a sudden he had a brother.
Oh, God. I don't even remember that third movie. That's how much of an impression it made on me.
It had Roman Polanski in it.
Wow. Is the fourth one going to have Woody Allen in it?
Maybe it'll have Harvey Weinstein. That's my hope, is it'll have Harvey Weinstein.
The guy that played, like, Porcupine or whoever and the guy that was in Lost, I remember was in one of those, but I don't remember which one he was in. I thought he was in the second one where he was blonde, so I don't know. It seems like you can cast a blonde Asian person as a villain and it's okay. Oh, God,
He
that
was in the first Rush Hour, wasn't
Was he? Okay.
Yeah, wipe your face off, you're bleeding.
Okay.
That's, I think that's who we're talking about. He was on, like, Walking Dead, too.
Yeah. Brett Ratner films really leave an impression with me.
They're really high quality.
Oh,
Especially
yeah.
one where it's East meets West. Hilarious. Let's take a real quick break, and when we get back, we'll finish up talking about Police Story.
Have a hunger for horror? A yen for Yelp yarns? Then give your blood-curdled bones a boon and tune in to Chronicles from the Crypt. Join sordid slime slingers Casualty Chris and Father Malone as they take on HBO's groundbreaking television series Tales from the Crypt. Here's what the rotting and rancid rabble are saying about Chronicles from the Crypt. Tune in to Chronicles from the Crypt. You have nothing to lose except your life.
Who is Carl Kolchak?
He's a reporter.
Now that is news, Vincenzo. News! And we are a news paper. We are supposed to print news, not suppress it.
With the INS.
What's an INS?
Independent news service, sir, founded in 1904 by Enrico Paluzzi.
Who seems to have a nose for the strange and unusual.
Well, last year in Las Vegas, I uncovered a series of murders that turned out to have been committed by a vampire.
And what is the Kolchak Tapes?
It's a podcast.
All about Carl Kolchak.
What's a Kolchak?
The Night Stalker.
And where can you get it?
On iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at www.kolchaktapes.com.
As foolish a game as any that Gory the Ghoul could make up.
Here's what some people are saying about the Projection Booth podcast.
Week after week, I'm mesmerized by the focus given great films and questionable films alike. But every episode is a learning and entertaining experience.
This is hands down the best movie podcast. They cover so many different genres across so many years, from obscure movies to blockbusters.
If there's only one podcast about movies and cinema that you listen to, make it this one.
The Projection Booth Podcast, with new episodes available every week at projectionboothpodcast.com.
In 1985, a curious phenomenon occurred. The Twilight Zone returned to television, featuring all new tales of mystery and imagination from the minds of Ray Bradbury, Harlan Ellison, George R.R. Martin, and Stephen King. Dreams for Sale, the Twilight Zone 85 podcast looks back at that land of shadow and substance and re-examines the groundbreaking successor to Rod Serling's legacy. Featuring new interviews with the show's creators and cast, Dreams for Sale can be found on iTunes and at twilightzone85.com. Dreams for Sale. We'll be waiting for you in the Twilight Zone.
All right, we're back and we're finishing up talking about Police Story. So let's talk about the final set piece of the film. I would say that while the first set piece of the film with the shanty town and the double-decker bus is kind of stunning in its execution and it's really over the top and it's really memorable, the end of the film, I think it's a little less over the top, but I don't think it hits any softer than the first part of the movie. I think it's just as impactful, especially because you get to see Jackie Chan a little unhinged.
Yeah.
In a way that you don't normally get to see him in most of these movies.
And how much broken glass is there in that last part?
Well, it's just like at the end of Dragons Forever, right? When Benny Urquidez is getting thrown through stuff, it's like over the top.
So much broken glass. It was crazy. And I love when he is riding that scooter and crushes the guy against the wall. I mean, there are just so many great moments in that.
Yeah, the end scene of this movie is so much fun. It's so over the top. It's so hard hitting. It's really, it's brutal because you have the two female characters getting their asses beat. You have Jackie Chan getting his ass beat. You have him threatening the main villain with like a knife to the throat and like about to like just murder him in front of everyone. And then you have this insane stunt. There's only one way to describe that stunt, and it's insane. Absolutely insane.
Mm-hmm. It is 100% insane.
That's not what I meant to say. Insane mother who killed their babbies. I want to say he got second-degree burns and a back injury, and he dislocated his pelvis while doing that stunt.
Right, yeah. From what I understand, they had the lights plugged into like a regular wall socket rather than like a lower voltage power source, so that the lights were really hot when he was going down that pole.
Well, and also, was this the stunt where Raymond Chow told him not to, or was that all of them?
I'm not sure. After a while, he had to stop doing a lot of his stunts because they wouldn't insure him anymore. And when he came to the U.S., that was a big problem.
Right, because the one stunt that he did that almost killed him, we're going to be talking about it on the next podcast when we talk about Armor of God, but the stunt in Armor of God that almost kills him is not as bombastic as this.
No.
It is like a mishap. This stunt is, like, I would say this stunt's fucking nuts. Like, why anyone thought this was a good idea is completely beyond me.
But it looks so much fun, doesn't it?
It looks fun, but not at the expense of my appendages and my pelvis. Look, he jumps on this pole, he rides it down to the ground, it's covered in light bulbs, and then he also smashes into like a kiosk at the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Which breaks his fall,
Right, sure. So they said in Project A, too, when he fell from the clock tower. And he did it 3 times and broke his fall.
The thing that gets me, though, is when he jumps from one landing onto an escalator and then manages to run up the escalator like a madman, like jumping every second or third step. I have trouble just getting on and off an escalator because I'm always afraid they're going to eat my shoes. And he just has no problem jumping onto a moving escalator.
Well, when I think of Chinese escalators, I just think about the one in China. There's like a video of it where the woman gets on it and it just she just gets sucked into it. That's what I think. And she died. She got sucked into the escalator. But that's always my fear is I'm worried about getting sucked into the escalator, not just losing my shoes. It wow. The thing at the top, there's a plate where you step on and the escalator tread feeds into it. She stepped on it and you can see in the video she steps on it and it just gives way and she just goes zoop right under.
Wow.
So yeah, kudos to Jackie Chan because you wouldn't see me running on an escalator like that, let alone jumping on it from a story up either.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it got real dark there for a second, didn't it?
Yeah.
But I think all in all, this is a fun movie. It's also very approachable for Western audiences, which maybe isn't the most important thing in 2018, but at the same time, there are people who don't like to watch movies that have subtitles, and there are people who don't like to watch movies that are dubbed in other languages. Get over yourselves. You're cutting out you're cutting out the best Jackie Chan movies ever made.
Exactly.
Simple as that.
Yeah, watching these dubbed is it's not doing you any favors either.
Well, I watched it dubbed, and yeah, it's not great. But I'll tell you what, if I'm watching it dubbed and Jackie is doing his own voice, it's much better. It's more tolerable.
Mm-hmm.
But to be fair, Mike, the Dragons Forever subtitle version we watched on the last podcast, I would have rather had that dubbed because maybe it would have made a little bit more sense. Because that, the problem is with subtitles is if the subtitles aren't great, it affects the enjoyment of the movie.
Right.
Rape me. Still can't believe that was a thing. So, what would you give Police Story out of 5?
For me, I'd give it. I love this movie. I'd give it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I would give it a 3.5. Again, there just needed to be something in the center of the movie, some sort of set piece or something, or a big fight. Even in Dragons Forever, there was that fight on the boat, and that was a really fun fight. In this movie, it's kind of maybe spinning its wheels for a little bit, and Jackie doesn't have Sammo to play off of or Ewan to play off of. He has Bridget Lin and Maggie Chun, which they're not bad actresses, but they don't have that same chemistry with Jackie that Sammo and Ewan do.
Right.
Well, let's take another break and we'll play a preview for the next Kulturecast.
Jackie Chan, the world's #1 action hero. Star of Operation Condor, Rumble in the Bronx, and Super Cop is back, on the loose and in your face.
Hi.
It's pure Chan excitement, pure Chan adventure, and pure Chan dynamite.
Need a light?
From director and star Jackie Chan. Operation Condor 2, The Armor of the Gods.
That's right. On the next Kulturecast, we are going to be talking about Armor of God. Another Jackie Chan movie that is really fun. And again, probably not a whole lot of American audiences have seen it. Maybe they have. I don't know. It's good. So there's that. Until then, where can people find you, Mr. White?
You and I hang out every month talking about Kolchak over at kolchaktapes.com, and we also do a monthly podcast about Twilight Zone 85, which you can find at twilightzone85.com, and also I do my own thing over at the Projection Booth Podcast, which is available at projectionboothpodcast.com.
And you can find me on Twitter at Kulturestash. You want to check out more about today's episode and our backlog, head on over to kulturecast.com to find out more about the episode. You can head on over to iTunes from there as well to give us a review, and you'll also find links over to Patreons if you want to give us a couple dollars. That'd be cool. If not, cool, I get it. Big thanks as always to Eric for the intro outro music, and to Mike for joining us and for programming this month.
Always a pleasure.
To be fair, these movies have been really strong so far, so that's a good thing.
All right, we'll see how the next one is.
Yeah, we will.